Here's what I know is true. Most weight loss plans are one size fits all. So frustrating. They don't take into account each person's individual needs, which could mean dietary restrictions, medical issues, or other personal needs. That's why you're going to love Noom. It's built for your psychology and your biology, meeting you where you are. Noom's personalized programs feel more sustainable than any other, more restrictive weight loss programs. And also, it doesn't shame you when you choose to treat yourself, and that's important. I like this company because it's got a psychology and biology-based approach and a super easy app to use with lots of great features, including daily lessons, coaching, and flexibility. I think it's your time to start. Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com. Based on 3.5-year study of actively engaged Noom users with minimum BMI of 25. Individual results may vary. Visit Noom.com for more information. Here's the thing, it's kind of gross out. It's freezing. And even those of us that embrace the chilly weather, which is of course not me, we need something to break up long winter nights. Something that I love to do is treat myself to a little something. So I like to go and I like to shop online. And one of my favorite sites to go to is Quince, because you can treat yourself to everyday luxury, but at an affordable price. Something that everyone needs in their closet. In my opinion, the Quince's iconic Mongolian cashmere sweaters are a must-have, which only start at $50. And if you really want to up the luxe factor, you can check out their Italian leather bags. You got to get the tote bag. So whatever you're looking for, all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. And they can do that by partnering directly with top factories and cutting the cost of the middleman, passing the savings on to you. And of course, they use premium fabrics and finishes for that luxury feel. So give yourself the luxury you deserve with Quince. Go to quince.com/Kate Casey for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/Kate Casey to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Kate Casey.
The amazing Kate Casey.
Welcome back for another episode of Reality Life with Kate Casey, and happy Valentine's Day. I hope that this finds you well. I hope you're having a night to yourself. Maybe you have Valentine's Day, or maybe you've got someone to share it with. Well, I've got great news because all new season of Love is Blind is on. It gives you plenty of reason to stay home and snuggle with your pet or a loved one. I'm telling you, you're going to want to watch this because you know me. I begin watching. I tried not to go into the internet and find out anything about any of the people on the show. In the beginning, I'm like, they seem so wonderful and earnest. But I know in the back of my head that there has to be a couple sociopaths. So buckle up, it's a ride. I'll tell you this. I cannot wait to unpack it with you and with Krista Rosa. It is a must watch. And of course, it's on this week's What to Watch list. So if you go to katecasey.substack.com, you will get a list of everything to watch this week, but also all the archive lists in case you've missed something. So make sure you check that out. Now, also yesterday's episode, I reviewed the premiere of Summer House with Brian Moylan. Eager for you guys to watch that premiere and to listen to the episode. Again, I have some concerns because there's a huge age gap in the cast, and I don't know how that's going to work out in the long run, but I'm eager for you guys to watch and tell me what you think as well. And then tomorrow's Saturday series episode is with Kristen Gray, and that is not to be missed either. Next week's is going to be a great one too. I met a woman who has an unbelievable story about her birth father and extra siblings. So hold on for that one as well. Now, at the end of this episode, Jonathan Mark joins me to share a story about a client that he had who was lying about cancer. And I also asked him about a case that I covered in episode 1180. In that interview, I had my guest, the editor-in-chief of People Magazine, discuss the episode of People Magazine Investigates entitled, My Father Was a Mass Murderer. This case was really fascinating. So retired drama teacher Kathy Gilchrist embarked on a journey to find her biological parents. But her worst fears came to fruition when she discovered that police wanted her father for a mass murder in Maryland state. William Bradford Bishop Jr. is wanted for the brutal murders of his wife, mother, and 3 sons 4 decades ago and has been named to the 10 most wanted fugitives list. A reward of up to $100,000 had been offered for information leading directly to his arrest. He was a highly intelligent former U.S. Department of State employee who investigators believe may be hiding in plain sight because there were several people that said they witnessed him in Europe years after the murders, including one who was an old colleague at the Department of State. So I had to ask him, where is this guy? Did he live? Is he still alive? Did he start a new life? I'm always fascinated by family annihilation stories where the person who commits the murder disappears into another part of the world and begins a new life. So hold on for that at the end of the episode. A lot of you have asked me to comment on the story behind Apple Cider Vinegar on Netflix. This is a 6-episode fictional drama series. It is about based on the real life story of Belle Gibson, an Australian wellness influencer who claimed she'd cured brain cancer with a healthy diet. And I'm assuming most of you wanted me to because I can see a scammer from a mile away. And this one has to do with internet influencing. So sort of up my alley. So you can watch that fictional drama series. It's obviously bonkers. And it's been fascinating to see how even men who aren't typically fascinated by complex stories like this are telling me just how much they're enjoying the series too. So besides Love is Blind, this is also another one that you can watch too. This was a lie that rocked Australia and the internet at large. Annabelle Natalie Gibson was born in October of 1991 in Tasmania, but grew up in the Brisbane suburbs with an older brother, Nick, and her mother, Natalie. According to the entry in a cookbook that she wrote, she said that she had a dysfunctional family. Her father had abandoned her, and she had a single mother coping with multiple sclerosis. And her brother, she claimed, was autistic. According to Belle, she left home to live with a friend at 12 years old. Teachers have said, however, that she was a diligent student, but she eventually dropped out of school at 15. She claimed she was responsible for her own meals, cleaning the home, arranging medical appointments, and grocery shopping. But family members disputed this. From an early age, she seemed prone to fabricating stories. Her mother, Natalie, would later claim the reports of her childhood were absolute rubbish. She said, Belle never cared for me. Her brother's not autistic, and she's barely done a minute's housework in her life. She gave that interview to Women's Weekly. I've practically worked myself into an early grave to give that girl everything she wanted in life. Now, her stepfather, Andrew, claimed that her mother had struggled to parent Belle and that the children experienced tough times. As a result, she left home around 13 years old and moved in with an old man who lived down the road because that sounds normal. So a former classmate described her as a pathological liar, while an ex-boyfriend recalled that she couldn't go 5 minutes without making up a story. She told classmates she was a test tube baby and that she was part of the witness protection program. As early as 2005, she was already posting online about having brain cancer. I had a stroke at work. I will never forget sitting alone in the doctor's office 3 weeks later, waiting for my test results. He called me in and said, "You have malignant brain cancer, Belle. You're dying. You have 6 weeks, 4 months tops." I remember a suffocating, choking feeling and then not much else. She claimed she went through chemotherapy and radiography for 2 months before deciding to embark on more holistic treatments focusing on a healthy diet and lifestyle. By 2009, she had moved to Perth in Western Australia, and she began a job listening to medical claims at a private health insurance company. One has to wonder if she was gathering information about cancer treatments. By 2010, she was living in Melbourne with her boyfriend, Nathan Corbett, and was about to give birth to her son, Oliver. Now, it's notable that she said that when she was diagnosed with cancer, it was terminal, as I mentioned, and she had only a few months to live. But she had also claimed that she had been immunized against cervical cancer and then subsequently had a stroke, and then it had led to brain cancer. And again, she had gone through chemotherapy or radiotherapy, but now she said she was in favor of holistic remedies and alternative medicine. So she's in Melbourne with her boyfriend, and she's got this young son. On a skateboarders chat forum, she posted wild claims. "I just woke up out of a coma type thing. The doctor comes in and tells me the draining failed and I went into cardiac arrest and died for just under 3 minutes." In early 2010, she retold her cancer story to the parenting forum, What to Expect, And again, she was 18 and pregnant with her son at the time. By 2013, she began documenting her story, explaining how she cured herself of cancer by rejecting conventional medicine in favor of a healthy lifestyle. Now, that diet consisted of a vegetarian diet, which included organic food and excluded dairy and gluten, encouraging other cancer sufferers to do the same. This show is sponsored by Liquid IV. A lot of you are starting new rituals for the new year. Whatever you do, you can come into your own way with extraordinary hydration from Liquid IV. I have to say my favorite flavor is the new hydration multiplier sugar-free raspberry lemonade because it's a bright, zero sugar flavor combining notes of ripe, freshly picked raspberries and citrusy, zesty lemon. I just take the pack and I pour it into a large glass of ice cold water and I knock it back and I feel like $1,000,000 and my skin, it looks so much better. And it really gets me going on my day. I think you're going to love it too. I love the benefits. I like feeling like I'm hydrated all day long. And if you're somebody who's outdoors or plays sports, this is an absolute must-have. So listen, break the mold and own your ritual. Just one stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. So embrace your ritual with extraordinary hydration from Liquid IV and get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code KateCasey at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code KateCasey at liquidiv.com.
Rakuten is the smartest way to save money when you shop because you earn cash back at over 3,500 stores. Fashion, beauty, electronics, home essentials, travel, dining, concert tickets, and more. Your favorite stores like Lowe's, Levi's, and Nike pay Rakuten to send them shoppers. And Rakuten then passes on a part of that payment to its members as cash back. You're already shopping at your favorite stores. Why not save while you're doing it? It's a no-brainer. Membership is free and easy to sign up. Get the Rakuten app now and join the 17 million members who are already saving. Cashback rates change daily. See Rakuten.com for details. That's Rakuten. Your cashback really adds up.
That year, she opened an Instagram account at healing_Belle, in which she documented how she had been discouraged from undergoing chemotherapy and modern medicine, instead eating that healthy diet and utilizing holistic treatments to cure her terminal brain cancer. So she was declaring herself a cancer patient, healing naturally through alternative therapies, such as craniosacral therapy, oxygen therapy, and colonics. If you looked at her Instagram profile, it said Belle Gibson, game changer with brain cancer, plus a food obsession. But medical records later revealed that an MRI scan in 2011 showed no signs of cancer at all. Her first Instagram post read, "I've been healing a severe and malignant brain cancer for the past few years with natural medicine, Gerson therapy and foods. It's working for me, and I'm grateful to be there sharing this journey." Well, she had soon gained 200,000 followers. She had posted inspirational quotes. She took pictures of healthy foods, including smoothies. But it seemed weird that she had all these therapies and this terrible diagnosis, but she looked the picture of perfect health. She began a wellness app called The Whole Pantry, downloaded more than 200,000 times in the first month of its release. It went on to be voted Apple's best food and drink app of the year. She was flown to Silicon Valley to celebrate the brand's launch of the Apple Watch, featured in a number of media outlets, and was awarded Cosmopolitan magazine's Fun Fearless Award in Sydney. When she accepted her prize, she cried, and she talked about the legacy that she was leaving. "I dedicate this award to every one of you who do follow me on Instagram or through The Whole Pantry, because through that, I created the world's best health, fitness, and lifestyle app. And through that, we are changing lives." She posted as a cancer patient healing naturally through alternative therapies through all of this. Again, but despite this, she has medical records that revealed in 2011 through an MRI scan that there was no cancer at all. And as these followers are growing, she's claiming her health is suffering. She revealed in a July 2014 Instagram post that her cancer had spread to her blood, spleen, brain, uterus, and liver. She also claims she had heart surgery multiple times, briefly died on the operating table and had the stroke. And then She lands a book deal with Penguin, securing a hefty advance. Her clean eating cookbook sold 16,000 copies. In 2015, an anonymous email was sent to magazines throughout Australia claiming they were a childhood classmate of Belle and she was a compulsive liar. The email included this: her name is Belle Gibson, creator of the Whole Pantry app and book, and a so-called terminal cancer patient. Unfortunately, there are a few things that you might need to know before you consider publishing more about this woman. She's a compulsive liar. In fact, she got so tangled in her own web of lies living in Brisbane, she moved to Melbourne to start a new life of lies, the cancer lie this time. For one, this girl isn't 26 years old. She was born in 1991, class of 08. My younger brother was in her form class. Secondly, she never had, nor does she have, any form of cancer. Where's the proof? I've known Belle since her childhood, and I'm close with her mother, and she has always had a problem with fabricating stories from nothing on a regular basis. It's one thing to act as if she can cure her cancer by eating organic, which simply isn't true, but to give false hope to people who are actually fighting cancer is nothing short of evil. You must be aware of this before you publish stories about this woman. She is selling her fake sob story in order to profit from her app and book sales. She's a wolf in sheep's clothing and a master manipulator. Sincerely sick of seeing her lies published. In March of 2015, an Australian newspaper, The Age, published an investigation by reporters Bo Donnelly and Nick Toscana, which revealed allegations that she had not actually made the donations raised for her treatment to charities and individuals she'd pledged to have. She had claimed to have given away 25% of the Whole Pantry's profits to various causes, as well as purporting she had donated as much as 300,000 Australian dollars to charitable organizations. She also held 2 public fundraisers, one in December of 2013 and another in May of 2014, to raise money for 5 charities. The outlet posted none of the 5 charities had any record of receiving a donation from Belle Gibson or the Whole Pantry. As the feature article explained, a social media entrepreneur who shot to fame off the back of her cancer survival story failed to hand over thousands of fundraising dollars promised to charity, and of course she went into damage control. When pressed for medical proof, she faltered, suggesting she may have been misdiagnosed. The authors later published a book in 2017 entitled The Woman Who Fooled the World. Now, they had received a tip from her real-life friend, Chanel, who unbelievably doubted that she had ever had cancer. Chanel told the journalist that Belle had a seizure in the middle of her son's 4th birthday party in 2014, but that she wouldn't allow anyone to call an ambulance and she refused to go to the hospital. This, of course, aroused suspicions that she was lying. Also, sadly, Chanel had also spent 2 days cooking meals for a family that had a son with brain cancer, but Belle never delivered them. They were kept in her freezer. By April 2015, in an interview with Women's Weekly, Belle admitted she had never had and did not currently have cancer. None of it's true, she told the outlet. It's just very scary, to be honest, because you start to doubt the crux of things that make up who you are. You know, I'm blonde and I'm tall and I've got hazel eyes and I've got cancer, and all of a sudden you take away some of those high-level things and it's really daunting. But in June 2015, in an interview with 60 Minutes Australia with Tara Brown, which obviously was her attempt to save her reputation, she said that she was wrongfully diagnosed with cancer by a German alternative medical practitioner in 2009 and did not discover she was healthy until 2011. She also avoided confirming her age, which is so strange. She had claimed she was 26 while her birth record showed she was 23, and of course her real name. So it's a perplexing interview to watch because she can simply not answer questions easily. The truth about her massive deception was finally unearthed, and the Whole Pantry app was pulled from the App Store, her U.S. book launch for the cookbook that had been canceled, and Penguin had stripped the Whole Pantry from the shelves in Australia. She has since kept a low profile. She was found to have been engaged in misleading and deceptive conduct and fined $410,000 in 2017. But nearly 8 years later, her bill had grown to more than $500,000 with penalties and interest and remains unpaid. The latest reports on Belle Gibson have her claiming to be adopted into Melbourne's Ethiopian community, calling herself Sabantu and speaking in broken English. Belle Gibson ultimately gained money and fame by duping followers into thinking that she had managed a terminal cancer diagnosis through nutrition and alternative therapies. Now you're asking yourself, why would someone lie like this? Experts say people with these personality disorders may lie to gain sympathy or social status or to preserve a false sense of self. Pathological liars often lie due to underlying mental health issues like narcissistic personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, or borderline personality disorder, which can lead them to use lying as a coping mechanism to manipulate situations, avoid responsibility, maintain a false self-image, or gain attention. And that's often with little or no remorse or guilt about their actions. Other potential contributing factors include childhood trauma. It could be low self-esteem and a desire to appear better than they are. She has staunchly denied she has suffered from Munchausen's or pathological lying or any mental health issue. But she's also claimed to have had 2 birth certificates and has had 4 name changes. So the question is, where does the truth begin and where do the lies end? A wellness influencer often offers advice on how to improve physical and mental health. They may share recipes, workouts, product recommendations. The influencer marketing industry is an estimated $4.4 trillion global wellness industry, and it remains an extremely unregulated environment. Influencers often lack the expertise to give informed advice about sensitive health topics, which could potentially impact someone else's ability to get a correct medical diagnosis and treatment. The majority of unethical conduct goes undetected and unpunished. The FTC has already demonstrated a commitment to influencer regulation. In August of 2023, it released requirements for influencers to disclose sponsorship relationships more transparently and has recently escalated enforcement actions against nutrition influencers who are systematically violating those rules. So while these stricter disclosure mandates are important to maintain FTC standards for truth in advertising, they really are insufficient to address misinformation and other harms that are consistently perpetuated by health and wellness influencers, even when they aren't directly selling a specific product. Belle Gibson intentionally distorted and fabricated information to mislead others about a treatment for a terminal illness because it gave her what she wanted: attention. Influencers are effective marketers because of their relatability factor and the persona that they create, which fosters truth and connection with their audience. And it is because of this connection, influencer endorsements feel more genuine compared to traditional advertisements. I feel like I know them. Thus, when an influencer recommends a product or service that they like, their audience is more likely to engage with it. But with that connection comes great responsibility. Are you qualified to give medical advice to anyone? Have you really provided all of the information about your own specific, unique medical diagnosis? Imagine the number of people who may have delayed necessary treatment because they followed her story and thought, it worked for her, so it can work for me. Belle Gibson has to live with that truth. So here is my interview with Jonathan. And again, you can watch Apple Cider Vinegar on Netflix. It is a 6-part series. And make sure that you go back and listen to the other episodes that I mentioned earlier in this episode. And again, here's Jonathan.
Ben hadn't had a decent night's sleep in a month. So, during one of his restless nights, he booked a package trip abroad on Expedia. When he arrived at his beachside hotel, he discovered a miraculous bed slung between 2 trees and fell into the best sleep of his life. You were made to be rechargeable. We were made to package flights and hotels and hammocks for less. Expedia, made to travel.
And now, a next-level moment from AT&T Business. Say you've sent out a gigantic shipment of pillows, and they need to be there in time for International Sleep Day. You've got AT&T 5G, so you're fully confident. But the vendor isn't responding, and International Sleep Day is tomorrow. Luckily, AT&T 5G lets you deal with any issues with ease, so the pillows will get delivered and everyone can sleep soundly, especially you. AT&T 5G requires a compatible plan and device. Coverage not available everywhere. Learn more at att.com/5G network.
Jonathan, I've got to ask you about Belle Gibson. As we know, she's the subject of the Netflix series Apple Cider Vinegar. And I mentioned to you that I was going to be doing an episode about this bizarre story. And you had mentioned to me that you had an experience where you were giving someone a reading and they too were not being honest about a medical condition. Could you tell me a little bit more?
Yeah, that was like one of the most wild, and I deal with a lot of wild stuff. I was doing a reading and I was speaking to a woman, like this young girl, and it was her, I think, stepbrother or brother, right? And we're doing the reading and she's getting concerned throughout the reading because she came to me to connect to someone, but then also to find out about her brother's cancer, right? To be like, how bad is it? He said it's terminal. And when I do readings, most of the times I always look for health to help people, to see if I can help them in any type of way. And I'm telling you, I say to her, I'm like, I don't see cancer. Like straight up, I'm like, I don't see cancer. And she goes, what are you talking about? Like, I was just with him. Like, he's in the other room. Like, we're just talking about it. And I said, I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, I don't think he has cancer at all. I don't see it. I'm like, I don't see anything terminal with him. I go, in fact, he seems relatively healthy to me. Like, he doesn't seem like there was any red flags. And she's like, what are you talking about? I said, bring him in. And she brings him in and we're talking and I caught him. He goes, well, like, it's similar to cancer. And I'm like, so it's not cancer? And he's like, no, but it's similar. I'm like, but how's it similar? I'm like, is it terminal? I'm like, I don't see it being terminal. He's like, no. And the girl just starts crying. She goes, what? You told all of us this? Like, people were sending him money in the family because he said he had treatments to go to and he couldn't afford the treatments and the experimental stuff. So it opened up a huge thing, so much so that they had to stop their reading because it was like too much for them. And the only reason why I was trying to be gentle with the conversation with them, but the only reason why I was bringing it up was because he was taking money from family about this. Like, it was insane. So like when Jess and I were watching it the other night, I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, this reminds me of this reading I did like a few years ago. Like, it wasn't too long ago.
Did you ever hear back from the sister? Did she ever contacted you again?
Yeah. She like reached out and she like apologized and was just like, listen, like, he's had issues and this isn't like shocking, is what she said. She goes, it's shocking, but if you know him, it's not shocking, is what she's saying.
I was listening to an interview with an old classmate of Belle Gibson's, and he said there were so many lies that she told that you almost sort of begin to ignore it because they're so perpetual. So I'm assuming that family had a similar situation.
So it seemed like that because it seemed like, again, like they were so shocked, but then when things cooled down, they're like, if you knew him, like, it's not shocking. And I'm like, and I'm sitting there because we're talking like via Zoom again, because she has to speak via Zoom, not like through email for the second conversation. And I said to her, I'm like, I have to be honest, like, I've never dealt with a situation like this before where someone openly like lied and admitted to having a terminal stage 4 lung cancer. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's insane. I'm like, I didn't even know how to handle it.
Wow. Well, before you go, I wanted to ask you about a case that I covered a couple weeks ago. Most interesting, People magazine Investigates covered it. It was the case of William Bradford Bishop, who had been an FBI agent and has been on the FBI's wanted list for the last 50 years. He's wanted for bludgeoning his wife, who was 37, his mother, who was age 68, and 3 sons, ages 5, 10, and 14, in Bethesda, Maryland, on March 1st, 1976. He then allegedly transported their bodies to Columbia, North Carolina, where he buried the bodies in a shallow grave and he lit them on fire. In March of 1976, he was charged locally with murder by the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office in Rockville, Maryland, and then charged federally with unlawful flight to avoid prosecution. His car was found. His identification was in the car as well, I believe, but he's just seemingly disappeared out of thin air. Now, there were several sightings of Brad Bishop in Europe, specifically France, in the following years. One time, someone that was a neighbor saw him crossing the street and getting into a taxi cab. And then another who he had worked with saw him in a bathroom in France and said, "Brad, is that you?" And the gentleman spoke with perfect English and said something like, "I don't know what you're talking about," and left the bathroom and disappeared. So it's been obviously 50 years since he disappeared. Is it possible that he left the scene of the crime after he had buried the bodies and just disappeared and created a new life in Europe or somewhere else? And then the second part of it is, do you think he's still alive?
From what I can see, it does look like he started anew, because it looks like a new face, new name is what I'm seeing. Like by new face, I mean like you have new passport, new ID, just like you kind of have a new whole identity. And as far as him living, if I'm able to kind of connect to him, I'm going to say he's probably not here physically anymore.
Okay. Because he would have been, I believe, in his late 80s, maybe early 90s at this point.
Yeah, no, it just seems like he's been dead for a little bit, but it also, or he hasn't been here for like a little bit, but it also, again, like if they're putting arrows across the globe, that means he left like to a different country, whether it's France or something.
He had a career history where he had worked in Africa and other countries, so he could assimilate into different cultures easily.
Yeah, he seems well versed in like adapting.
Do you think he started like a new family, or just kind of was always on the run?
Like he was just like laying low.
Wow.
Like he was, it's kind of like if you're an FBI agent and all of a sudden you're like a butcher. It's like very two different things. And like a butcher's not going to raise awareness or be like, that's what I see. It's like a very low, like type of slow life, but I can also see he's very adaptive.
Do you think in those cases, because I'm sure you've come across some of them, not only just in your readings, but also law enforcement stories, do you think that there is a sense of regret when some of these family annihilators just move on and create a totally new identity? Is there ever a sense of sadness or grief about the life they've left behind?
Like as far as like them committing the murders, or like the family that they left behind, because they definitely have like a come to moment when they pass away. It's kind of like they see who they affected and who they hurt, and they definitely have a come to moment.
Wow. Yeah, and in that case, it was so sad. Those three boys, they were, again, ages 5, 10, and 14. And the oldest, they put a plaque for him at the school that still stands there today. And yeah, just an awful story. Well, tell people what you have going on in your podcast, because you've been doing quite a bit of true crime stories.
Yeah, so basically my podcast, it's called Connect to Jonathan Mark. But what we've been doing is with real families and real law enforcement, we've been helping, with their cases, with the detectives on call. And we're trying to bring awareness to local cases that maybe haven't broken past local news or really anything. So if anyone has a case and they want some help, I'm always here to help to do that.
And where can they find you on social media?
So my Instagram is Jonathan Mark Medium, and so is my TikTok.
The amazing Kate Casey.
I want to thank my great guest, Jonathan, and remind you to click subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and make sure that you check out the What to Watch list at katecasey.substack.com, and check out my bonus episodes at Patreon, patreon.com/Kate Casey. And follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at @KatecaseyCA, TikTok it's Kate Casey, and Twitter and Threads at Kate Casey.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. But the official narrative doesn't add up. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we peel back the layers of secrecy surrounding a deadly confrontation that shook a community to its core. Through exclusive recordings and never-before-released eyewitness accounts, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. As we dig deeper, we uncover a web of conflicting testimonies and missing evidence. From the idealistic dreams of young environmentalists to the complex motivations of local officials, this story challenges our understanding of justice, activism, and the lengths people will go to protect what they believe in. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.